Karenjit Kaur, known to the world today as Sunny Leone, began her journey in Sarnia, Ontario, a quiet Canadian town nestled along the banks of Lake Huron, where snow blanketed the earth for months and silence often spoke louder than words. Born into a traditional Punjabi Sikh household, Karenjit's earliest memories were shaped by the warmth of her family's Indian values and the icy chill of adapting to a foreign Western world. As a child of immigrants, she quickly learned that identity was not a simple thing. It was a dance between languages, customs, clothes, food, beliefs, and belonging. At home, she spoke in Punjabi, listened to her parents recall stories of Punjab, and watched her mother cook dal, sabzi, and roti in a kitchen that smelled like home. Outside, however, the world was different. The houses were bigger, the air colder, the accents unfamiliar. She carried two worlds in her tiny hands, one brown and fragrant with ghee, the other pale and lined with snow. From a young age, Karenjit recognized she was different. Her lunches were different. Her hair was darker. Her clothes sometimes odd by local standards. Her family celebrated Diwali when the rest of her school prepared for Halloween. She wore Indian bangles with denim and jutties with jackets. Her parents, with their thick accents and strong work ethics, often stood out in public spaces. She noticed how people stared, sometimes out of curiosity, sometimes out of prejudice. Children asked her why she had oil in her hair, or why her father wore a turban. Some days, she felt the weight of being a cultural ambassador, constantly translating, explaining, and justifying who she was. She wasn't just growing up. She was growing up under scrutiny, carrying the burden of expectation to do well, stay respectful, and never forget where she came from. Despite the confusion, her home was a sanctuary. Her father, a man of science and deep principle, often sat with her late into the night, helping her with homework, teaching her discipline, reminding her that no dream was too big if backed by honesty and effort. Her mother, nurturing and soft-spoken, kept the house glowing with love. The walls were adorned with Sikh scriptures, family photos, and newspaper clippings from India. Evenings were filled with the sound of bhajans or old Hindi film songs playing from a cassette deck as the smell of hot chai drifted through the air. Every Sunday, they visited the local Gurdwara, where Karenjit learned humility, service, and the value of community. Langar, the communal meal, was where she first saw how strangers became family over shared food. Though small, her Punjabi community in Sarnia acted like a village, supporting one another through births, deaths, weddings, and hardships. School life, on the other hand, was a complicated terrain. While she excelled academically and teachers praised her for her intelligence, she remained an outsider in the eyes of many classmates. Playdates were rare. Birthday party invitations, even rarer. She spent many lunch breaks reading books, sketching quietly, or just watching others laugh and play. The few friends she did make were either other immigrants or children who were kind enough to look past the surface. She often wondered what it would be like to be invisible, to blend in, to not be asked where she was really from. Her accent was neutral, her grades perfect, her manners impeccable. But still, she wasn't one of them. That ache of not fully belonging followed her silently. She began to develop a dual personality, not in a deceptive way, but out of necessity. At school, she laughed at jokes she didn't understand, learned to love hockey, and memorized pop songs just to join in conversations. At home, she helped her mother prepare parathas, served chai to visiting uncles and aunties, and listened patiently as elders warned her not to stray from Indian values. Her bedroom reflected this split. A poster of Madhuri Dixit beside one of Madonna, a bookshelf filled with Amar Chitra, Kat has next to Nancy Drew novels. Her identity was a collage, fragile, beautiful, and in constant evolution. What she lacked in social acceptance, she made up for in resilience. Being an immigrant child in Canada meant being older than your age. She accompanied her parents to banks, translated medical forms, explained school notices, and sometimes even handled calls from utility companies. She became the bridge between two generations, two cultures, two worlds. Every moment in public carried with an awareness of how she spoke, how she dressed, how she behaved. She couldn't afford to rebel or act out. She represented more than just herself. Her family's reputation was intertwined with her own actions. Yet it wasn't all hardship. There were moments of immense joy. Snowball fights in the backyard with her brother. Trips to Toronto where diversity was more visible. Indian weddings filled with dance and sparkle. And long drives with her father during which he'd tell her, "You can become anything, Beta. Never let the world tell you who you are." That belief became her anchor. Even as she struggled to understand herself, she knew she was loved, and that love gave her strength. Her early adolescence was marked by a growing awareness of her own ambitions. She was artistic, curious, and drawn to beauty and fashion. She loved playing dress-up, experimenting with makeup, and flipping through her mother's old magazines. Somewhere deep inside, she knew she wanted to be seen, not just for her looks, but for her courage to be different. While her parents dreamed of her becoming a doctor or engineer, she dreamed of lights, cameras, and a life that was larger than the constraints of her conservative surroundings. But she kept those dreams tucked away, hidden beneath layers of propriety and tradition. Life as an immigrant child gave her a toolkit others didn't have: adaptability, emotional intelligence, self-discipline, and grit. These were forged not in comfort, but in quiet daily battles. Understanding sarcasm in English, saving up for a school trip, explaining to her mother why she wanted to wear jeans to a school dance, or defending her father when kids mocked his turban. These moments built her spine, molded her character, and gave her a silent superpower: the ability to endure and adapt. Karenjit's life in Canada was both a cocoon and a crucible. It protected her, shaped her, and prepared her. Long before she became Sunny Leone, a name that would travel across continents and industries, she was already learning how to navigate judgment, break stereotypes, and live authentically. She didn't yet know the path she would take, but her feet were already sturdy. Her were already forming. Her life as an immigrant child in Canada wasn't just the beginning of a journey. It was the making of a survivor, a fighter, and a woman destined to rewrite her story on her own terms. And as the snow fell outside her window in Sarnia and the aroma of cumin filled the house, little Karenjit Kaur dreamt quietly. Between cultures, between worlds, between the girl she was and the woman she would become.